Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Build, where I build it and you judge it. Not so secretly. Or secretly, I don't know. So, it's about finally time we actually get to this. I'm about to get swatted by a cat, or bit. Mauser, be good. So it's finally time we got to this deck. It's almost taken as much time as the Dark Heroes, or the Evil Heroes, whatever you want to call them. Because, of course, as soon as I named the deck Dark Heroes, the meta had to actually put out a Dark Hero deck at the time. But anyhow, it's finally time we got to this. So, let's get started with our short little introduction that everyone probably wants to skip. I might even put a skip this intro thing down at the bottom, a subtitle, with a timestamp to go to. But, what is an alternative win condition? An alternative win condition is, of course, any win condition that is not the standard. That's why it's an alternative one. So in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's basically any win condition that doesn't rely on dropping your opponent down to 0 life points. Now, this is usually a deck out strategy. A deck out being when your opponent can no longer draw cards because you've made them draw them all, they've drawn them all, because you've stalled them, or their own search power doing it, or, of course, milling, which is an old Magic term for making them discard the top card of their deck to the graveyard. Now, there are also win effects. The oldest, of course, being the one that we're here to talk about today. Exodia the Forbidden One, which came out before the card game just did as well, all the way back in Legend of the Blue Eyes. Now, how do you win with Exodia? That's really complicated, as in, it's really easy, just kind of annoying to do. You have to get all 5 pieces of Exodia, so 5 unique cards, into your hand. And these cards are, of course, limited, so you can only have 1 in your deck each. Anyone who's played Yu-Gi-Oh! For a long time, you're going to want to click that timestamp, probably, that I mentioned earlier. Unless you're just here for Mr. Mooser. So, through draw effects or search effects, the whole point of it normally is to get all 5 pieces of into your hand. I decided that was too good, too easy to do, and I wanted to play a deck that wasn't going to even try to win. So instead, this is an Exodia graveyard build. AKA, my goal is to get the pieces into the graveyard, and then either back to my hand, or just into my hand through draw cards. I'm not going to spoil it, but it didn't go very well. But before that, let's build Exodia Graveyard. Hello everybody! So those were the duels. I got beat down fairly badly there, but what can you do? This deck really wasn't that good. Like, it really needed some more time to be refined. I do think there might be a fun, playable deck in there. Not a viable deck, not a great deck, but there might actually be... Come on, chair. There might be a fun little deck in there. Sadly, you guys might have to dig for it. I might come back to it at a later time to see if maybe I can find something in there to expect out. But before I talk about improvements that I've already noticed that could be made, why don't we go ahead here and talk about the deck itself. So you have your 4 Exodia pieces, 5 including there. You're going to run 3 legendary Exodia Incarnates, 2 Darkest Diaboluses, 2 Dark Greffiers, 1 Armageddon Knight, 3 Witch of the Black Forest, 3 Blue Boys or Spellbook Magician of Prophecies, 3 Battle Faders, 2 Instant Fusions, 2 Spellbook of Knowledges, 1 Upstart Goblin, 2 Dark World Dealings, 3 Dark Factory of Mass Productions, 2 Wonder Wands, 3 Threatening Roars, and 3 Obliterates. Inside the extra deck you have Sea Monster Theseus, 2 Millennium Irish Strix, 2,000 Irish Strix, 1 Black Rose Dragon, 1 Coral Dragon, 1 Witch's Apprentice, and 1 Link Haribo. Now, how could this have been better, and how do you play this? Well, poorly if you're me, but generally you're going to want to set up a board with Obliterate, activating, and dropping your pieces into the graveyard. You're also going to be doing things like summoning Witch of the Black Forest, and either hitting her with Spellbook of Knowledge or Wonder Wand, because these will give you 2 draws, and then when she goes to the graveyard, you can search one of your Exodia pieces, or Exodia Incarnates, or Battle Fader. You can search most of your deck to pull out dark monsters that you need. You're of course running a little bit of other draw in Dark World Dealings, but as an improvement mention, these overall weren't as helpful as I would have liked. There was definitely ways these problem slots could have been taken by something better. Now, since this is a graveyard and you're tossing all of your Exodia pieces into the graveyard using things like Dark Greffier or Armageddon Knight, you might be wondering how in the world you get the Exodia pieces. That's through Dark Factory of Mass Production, where you can target 2 normal monsters in your graveyard and add those targets to your hand. The other option is to, of course, leave them in the graveyard. Using your Legendary Exodia Incarnate, he gets 1,000 attack points for every Forbidden 1 monster in your graveyard. So if you can dump a bunch of them while he's on the board, you can get him up pretty high. And because you have cards that make you tribute your Dark Attribute monsters for things, such as the Summoning of the Incarnate, I decided Diabolus could give you some extra beat power. And honestly, he's my favorite tech card in this deck. I think he was a solid, great pick. It and Instant Fusion were the 2 best, things in my opinion in the duels. In soft testing, I thought the Witch of the Black Forest was the best, but I think Diabolus just continuously earned his stripes. I mean, he earned his spot, I should say. He earned his spot. So let's talk about Instant Fusion, and what it's there for. Instant Fusion is either get out one of these two Eyes Restrict monsters to interfere with your opponent's boards, and since they are both spellcasters, you can tribute them with Spellbook of Knowledge or Wonder Wand, thus destroying one of your opponent's monsters. You're going to lose that monster anyways, at least you'll get 2 cards out of its usage. Or, you can go into Sea Monster of Theseus, and then using combinations of various cards throughout your deck to synchro summon into things to solve problems. I've used Black Rose Dragon and Coral Dragon as you saw in the replays. This is where there's a building misstep. Inside my soft testing and even most of my hard testing, I didn't use the synchroing that much. I found today though, while I was recording, I wish I had more synchros in my extra deck, especially since there were 6 slots I left open. I highly recommend dropping in 8 or 9 stars generic synchros into the deck. It gives you a little bit more beat power, it can give you some more silver bullets to handle your opponent's boards or problematic cards. Way, way, way advantageous. I can't talk about that enough. I should have put more synchros into this deck. I think that's one of the definite big missteps that was taken. I wish I had more data. Foolish Burial would have been a better card to run, I think, than one of the Dark World dealings. Upstart was good. I mean, generic draw card is always good. Now, another aspect of this deck is stopping your opponent from attacking. Now, Obliterate deck can do that, because Obliterate allows you to once per turn target a monster, bounce it back to the hand, but you have to throw an Exodia piece into your graveyard. And then if you can, if this card gets sent to the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, you can target a Forbidden One monster and bring it back to your hand from the graveyard. This is really useful for handling problematic monsters. Not as good as Coral Dragon's popping card effect, but because unfortunately, as I misplayed earlier, you have to make sure to bounce monsters that aren't going to come back and bite you instantaneously, that they can just normal summon back or get back super easy. Then you also have Threatening Roar and Battle Fader. Battle Fader is when you have a direct attack on you, you can discard it, you'll special summon it, not discard, special summon it to stop the battle phase, and Threatening Roar is a trap card that your opponent can declare an attack this turn. Honestly, they're very useful, and there's multiple times I wish I would have had them when I didn't while playing, but I kind of also wish these were more taken out for more permanent answers. I feel like this is Exodia deck. I tried to play it too much like a and not enough aggressive answers to my opponent's boards. Because with that, I could have pushed more with Diabolus, or pushed more with just the deck and how it played overall. So as I said, I'm not sure necessarily want to say like Mirror Forces or something would have been better than them, but like a Raigeki could have really helped, or a Dark Hole even, because the Exodia Incarnate is immune to card effects, so if you Dark Hole, he's just going to look at you funny. So Dark Hole would have been a really good option. Yeah, as I said, there's various other ways I think this deck could have been done better. I may come back and try to redo this deck at a later time, but it'll be a very long time. I have a huge list of decks I want to run, but that's this deck. I don't think it's very good, but I also don't think this is going to get viewed very often. But again, all Let's Builds are just a generic build that you can build off of and make it way better than I could have. I'm not that great of a deck builder or player. This is just to give you guys insights and an in-look into a type of deck you could possibly make way better than I can. So thank you guys for watching. If you have a deck you'd like to see that you can build and make better at a later time, put it down in the description. Stay out of my description. Put it down in the comment section down below, and I'll look into doing it, and if I get enough requests for it, or it sounds interesting enough, I'll definitely end up building it. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for viewing Lair for over 100 times. I didn't realize the Super Budget was going to get that popular. But I'll see you guys in the next video. And hey, have fun.
What up, Mott?
Oh, yeah!